Hello, my name is Slight, and this is my first official Nova Drift build and video. I always try to show my builds up front in my videos so that you don't have to sift through 20 minutes of footage to find the most important details. I do this because I think it's the right thing to do. I'd also like to suggest that you consider that intentionally wasting other people's time might be immoral. If you do plan to follow this build, the mods have been ranked in order from most to least effective, top to bottom, and left to right. This build centers around leveraging the Flak cannon's high damage and high projectile count for a formidable offense when combined with the Barrage supermod. But this build is meant to be quite sturdy, so in an effort to tank up, we are taking the Sanctuary supermod with the Reflect Shield, which naturally has very high base stats. While this build was good before the most recent experimental beta, many of the core pieces of this build are being buffed in the upcoming Enemies 2.0 patch. This build will cover and include those changes. As a final thought before I delve into the build, I am currently at what I call the exploration phase of learning Nova Drift. I am not a high skill player yet, so recognize that while this build is thoughtfully put together, it may not be perfectly optimized. If you find yourself to be a Chadley Nova Drift player, feel free to share your thoughtful optimizations in the comments, and I will absorb them into my working memory and then refract them out to an audience. The crux of our late game damage comes from leveraging a massive amount of high damage flak projectiles. To do this, we pick up the volley tree, since flak has a special ability where all added projectiles get doubled, so for each one projectile we add, we actually get two. This starts to get crazy once we get to Fusillade, since Fusillade also doubles base projectiles. We get a sweet multiplicative projectile count combo going there. Then we need to escalate our damage, and we do this via siege weaponry, which allows us to shoot faster and faster the longer we fire consecutively at the cost of self-damage. Now we have two issues. One, we are very short-ranged because we have slow-moving projectiles, and two, unless the enemy is massive, we're going to miss like a huge amount of shots, right? That's where two key supermods come in. Barrage allows us to shoot in a straight line. The text on the screen shows the now buffed version of this supermod. Next, we use Saturation Fire to help significantly with the range, because it significantly boosts our projectile speed the longer that we fire. So we go from a short-range shotgun to a long-range laser beam of needles. Since we are taking a large amount of self-damage, we need a variety of ways to make up for that damage. The main way we do this is through Essence Sap, which is a well-balanced lifesteal mechanic that deserves a lot of praise in terms of its design balance. Essence Sap only heals our hull though, so to get tanky elsewhere, we pick up points in shield durability and shield regeneration, which combine very well with the supermod Sanctuary. Since Sanctuary's regen is percentage based, the higher our max shield, the better the regeneration it offers. And Sanctuary got buffed as well in the experimental beta, and now heals more when you are at a lower shield value, a lower current shield value. So that's great and all, but we're left with a couple issues that we need to address with this build. Firstly, we have very low mobility. Siege weaponry causes us to lose 80% of our thrust while firing, and Sanctuary also gives us a permanent minus 30% thrust nerf. Strafe is a key component of being successful with this build because it significantly helps with that mobility problem. When considering a body choice, on the other hand, one of the main reasons to take Firefly over the Assault body is that the Firefly has a lot higher starting thrust, which makes up for these mobility issues. That being said, Assault does do markedly more damage. I've played with quite a few different bodies, and these two have seen best, though you can alternatively go to a more tank-oriented direction with Sentinel or Research. Secondly, we have very poor area clear, and we are bad versus segmented units. The spiciest stuff, my own personal little flavor in this build, centers around dealing with these problems. The best area clearing mod that you can get in the experimental beta is the new recursive wild mod, Ricochet, which causes all projectiles to bounce toward another enemy one time. Only one of these should be taken, but currently, as of the numbers in the experimental beta, 1 point is extremely good. Another very important pick early on is 1 level of blast radius. This is especially important if you're not playing draft mode, because Flak tends to struggle early game with segmented snakes or segmented units before getting this 1 point of blast radius, so pick that very highly early. There's a reason it's in the place that it's at on that tier list. These snakes can easily end or threaten to end a run early because you just can't kill them fast enough. To further extend our area clear, the Splinter mod and Corrosion mod can be very powerful, but generally you want to prioritize Corrosion over Splinter. Corrosion fits perfectly with this type of build since we're doing a massive amount of smaller hits of damage. Granted, Flak has a pretty high damage per projectile, but we're doing a massive amount of them. It allows this build to build up stacks of Corrosion very quickly. Corrosion also is one of the best counters to snakes and a couple other key small unit situations that can otherwise be tedious to kill with a laser of needles. It really does extend the ability for you to area clear, especially when it comes to small enemies. So, as a final tip, if you're trying to dodge with strafe, make sure to stop firing before you use strafe so that the siege weaponry 80% thrust reduction doesn't actually cause your strafe not to go very far. You really want to get in the habit of lifting off fire before strafing so that you get the full effect of using your strafe. So with that, sit back, relax, enjoy the music. Up next, we've got a supercut of a run I did before the experimental beta was released and using this build. So know that it's already significantly better than what I'm about to show off. And you know the drill. I make these for fun. I make them to try to provide value. So if you do sub, do not sub for me. Sub for you.